This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello and welcome to the Sky Blues Extra podcast, brought to you by Shortland Horn, Coventry's leading estate agents. My name's Tom Ward and I'm joined for this championship season preview by Dean Atkinson. Pre-season is over, signings are through the door and now it's showtime as the Sky Blues campaign kicks off on Saturday away at Bristol City. In tonight's show, we'll be bringing you a comprehensive preview of the upcoming season. I'm delighted to say that EFL pundit Gab Sutton will also be joining us later in the show to give us an outside-in perspective on the Sky Blues ahead of their championship campaign. So without further ado, let's get going. Evening, Dean, how are you?
Good. I'm looking forward to this. Only a few days to go. The season starts and we can do it all over again.
Yeah, exactly. The pre-season nerves are sort of kicking in a little bit now. Don't really know what to expect, but yeah, it's that exciting part of the season, isn't it? So yeah, I did want to start straight away with talking about the signings, obviously the positive news, but thought just a bit of bad news obviously just come through about Jodie Jones this evening. So thought maybe we could talk about that briefly to start with.
Yeah.
I feel pretty devastated, to be honest with you, about that, seeing that just come through. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's an absolute sickener because he's been looking absolutely fantastic in the games. Up to now, and it was probably his chance to shine. He's obviously come back from 2 ACLs over the past 3 years. Difficult period for the lad, and he seems to have had the mental strength to get through that and battle it.
Yeah.
And now it's happened again. I suppose one good thing it's on his opposite knee, so it might be a little bit stronger. You don't tend to come back from 3 ACLs on the same knee.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a bit of positive news, but yeah, absolutely devastating. I actually feel sick about it.
Yeah, it is sickening, isn't it? And you came out with a stat just before we came on about how many was it you said we'd had in the last few years?
It's close to 7 ACLs or that on that type of scale of injury in the past 5 years, and with most of them happening in training sessions, it seems to
yeah.
be. So there's definitely something in that. That's a hell of a lot of basically career-threatening injuries to happen.
Yeah, in
so
training.
That's definitely something that needs to be looked at. I don't know if something's wrong with the pitches or or are we just cursed? I don't know.
Yeah, it does make you wonder, doesn't it, to have that many in training and not actually on the pitch. But yeah, hopefully our luck will sort of turn around with that pretty soon, because it is pretty grim reading the record over the last few years. Anyway, on to some more positive news with the transfers that we brought in. Obviously, there's quite a few to talk through. So Mark Robbins made 9 signings in total over the last few weeks. He's been very busy in the transfer market. So I thought we could run through them kind of in order as they came in.
Sure.
The first one was Gustavo Hamer, or Hammer. We haven't quite decided on what we're going to pronounce him as yet.
Actually, my Brazilian colleague, I was pronouncing him Hammer at the weekend. My Brazilian colleague has told me it's Amer.
Hamer. There you go.
Don't pronounce the H.
Right.
Amer,
okay.
Amer.
Okay. We will get there with that.
But I'm sure
eventually.
I'm sure Clive and Jeff will get it wrong numerous times on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there'll be various variations of it. Hamer, sort of long-awaited signing, really. Obviously, as is pretty standard with Coventry signings these days, you get announced Hamer for felt like forever, and then eventually signed. Reportedly, just over £1 million from Zwolle, obviously in Holland. What did you make of Mark Robbins' first signing, Dean?
It was quite out of the blue. It's not a name that we would be familiar with unless you're a follower of international football. But yeah, from what we've seen in YouTube clips and the friendlies so far, it looks to be an absolutely astute signing to replace Liam Walsh. I don't think we're ever going to get Walshy back, but this looks like the guy to replace him. He's looking good. He's strong. He's got great ability on the ball. Really low centre of gravity, and he looks to link the play up. So yeah, definitely an astute signing by Robbins.
Yeah, definitely, and good to see us spending a bit of money as well that early on in the transfer window. We haven't always spent money on players, and I think it was our highest transfer fee since Freddie Eastwood. So yeah, good to see us getting out there and doing some early business. Just a quote from Robbins on Hamer, he said, he's a creative 2-footed midfielder with great technical ability, but he's also a tenacious and determined player, as well as in the centre of midfield. So that was Jamer, and then we go on to Julian Da Costa, signed as a free agent from France. Pacey and powerful defender who brings attacking attributes to the side. Predominantly a right back, but he's versatile, can also play as a left back. Obviously, Da Costa's been a bit unlucky. He obviously came in, he's sustained an injury. I don't think we've had confirmation yet of how long he's going to be out for. But it seems like he's been a bit unlucky there because obviously with Dabo out, it would have been his chance to break in at right wing back. But he seems to have picked up that injury. So bit of an unlucky start for him, Dean.
It is, but we did get confirmation he's going to be back in November and be out for the rest of the season. So that's one bit of good news. And like I mentioned on the live podcast on Saturday, I've actually seen Da Costa play. I was in France a couple of years ago and I saw him play, and like Robin said, he is pacey. He's very strong in the tackle. Loves a fight, so that's what we'll need at some point during this season in the Championship.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think he might be possibly play at left back as well in our team? Do you think that's why he was brought in, possibly as cover on that side?
Potentially. It depends. I think if we play two up top, he could play in that left back role because you'd want to cut inside and try and get some crosses in. So I think it depends on the setup, but Ryan Giles has definitely been brought in to play left back.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Possibly
an option if Robbins changes the system at some point in the season.
Yeah.
And then Callum O'Hare came in again, sort of felt very long awaited. Obviously, had been with us last season as well on loan. His contract expired at Villa, and we were able to bring him in on a long-term deal. Reportedly, the highest paid player at the club, Dean, as well.
Yeah, I suppose you get what you pay for in this day and age. You've got to pay good money to keep talent, and he's definitely a talented kid. We all saw what he could do last season, and there was a host of clubs vying for his signature. And I think because we had him last year, and he knows the way Robbins and Vivash want to play, that's what's going to help him in his career. So absolutely brilliant signing, brilliant.
And do you think he'll make the step up to the Championship?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's probably one of the maybe 5 or 6 players definitely looking to make that step up and will be able to cope in the Championship. It's a very different game to League One, but I think his technical ability is so good that he'll have no problems at all.
Yeah, definitely. I think another thing that we've heard a lot on the recent podcasts we've done is the team spirit that we have, and it felt like Callum O'Hare was a big part of that, and he's one of the lads that everyone gets on with. So I think he's an important. I know he's still young, but seems to be an important character in the dressing room as well.
Well, we saw that with the wig situation and
exactly
at the end of the season. So yeah, he's one of the team. He's one of the lads, and we'll need the team spirit to carry us through this year.
Yeah, definitely. And then along came Marcel Hilsner from Paderborn. Again, we paid some money for, I think probably in the sort of hundreds of thousands rather than the millions. But again, good to see us, spending a bit of money in the transfer window. Mark Robbins said he's a strong and creative attacking player, can play on either wing or in the centre, and will be a great asset for us. So perhaps a player that wouldn't fit into our starting lineup, Dean, but could be an option if we switch the system slightly.
He's definitely an option from the bench, and he's a big fella. He's a strong guy. It looks like he's up for a battle. So that's going to stand him in good stead. Like you say, he's not going to be in the starting lineup. I wouldn't have thought. And he's obviously got this breathing issue, which is obviously a very strange situation. And how that hasn't come up in any pre-season medicals and before he signed is very weird. So that's one we need to be wary of for sure.
Yeah, it's strange. Although since they reported that, I think he has played a couple of pre-season games, hasn't he? So whether it's something that he just needs to get his match fitness up and it might go away, I don't know if they're just trying to get his fitness up as much as they can. Seems that way.
Unless it's like a bad case of asthma and he's never really picked up on it before. You don't know. This can happen. Let's just hope he hasn't got COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say, you think it could be related to COVID, but then I know they're doing obviously very regular testing. So like you said, you'd think this would be picked up. So I guess we'll just have to see how that one plays out.
He's definitely a squad player though.
Yeah, exactly. I think he just gives us that option. Good that he can play on either wing, I suppose, as well, and in the centre. So some good options with him there. Fifth signing of the summer was Jay McGrath, who was more of an under-23 signing, really. And I think this has become something we've recognised with Coventry City over the last few years. We do tend to sign a lot of these kind of under 23 players, people like Hyam and McCallum who've come in to sort of bed them into under 23s and then obviously bring them through into the first team when they're ready. Do we know much about Joe McGrath, Dean?
Not too much, unfortunately. Just obviously Robbins is looking at the future again. It's another one for the future. He's not going to be in and around the first team this season. I wouldn't have thought unless severe injury list starts to occur. But definitely one for the future. And another from Mickover FC with I think it was Morgan Williams was the last one we signed.
Yeah,
he looks a good talent as well.
Yeah, definitely. They seem to feed us quite a few good young players there. One thing that Robbins pointed out was that he's actually very good in the air, Joe McGrath, and he's actually played some men's football as well. So I guess to have someone that young who's played men's football is an advantage as well. So, like you say, hopefully he can break in at some point. We then got Ryan Giles in on loan from Wolves. Obviously, was actually with us last season, but barely featured. I think he had maybe one appearance off the bench. Did play against us for Shrewsbury, and I think he set up one of their goals. I think he was playing a lot further forward for them, actually. But he's been brought in more as a left wing back, hasn't he, Dean, for us this season?
He has. He can play left wing as well. But yeah, for us in our system, where we play with the wing backs, he'll definitely be first choice in that position. I am worried about him slightly on his defensive capabilities and his positioning play, but going forward, he looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a lot of pace, hasn't he? And could put a good ball in. Like you said, though, with some of the players you see in the Championship these days going down that right wing, could be a problem. But yeah, hopefully he can tidy up on his defensive side a little bit as well.
We do have Brandon Mason there if we want to be more defensive. He's the exact opposite to Ryan Giles in that way. Attacking, he's not that much of a threat, but defensively, he's sound.
Yeah, exactly. So if we were to switch to like a 4 at the back, he could always use Mason, and then obviously Giles can be used further up the pitch. Yeah. So got good options there on the left. And then Leo Ostergaard, obviously came in on loan from Brighton. Robbins was very, very complimentary towards him. He said he's a player with brilliant pedigree. He's one of the top players for his age in European football. And I think we have the advantage of having Twitter and everything these days, where you get all these stats thrown in front of you as soon as someone signs. And I have to say his stats did look very impressive when he signed. So yeah, obviously on loan from Brighton, so not our player, but I think this looks like an excellent signing, doesn't it, Dean?
Yeah, we wouldn't have got him unless Ben White signed a long-term deal at Brighton for sure. He's basically on the precipice of the first team at Brighton, so that's an absolute fantastic signing, and one that he's definitely going to be in the team straight away. And he was probably St. Paul's best player last season as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Robin said, it demonstrates the policy we've got at the club, bringing in young players, helping them with their careers, and helping us to develop and achieve our objectives as well. So, yeah, a really, really good signing there to slot into the defence. Would you say, is that probably looking at replacing McFadden, would you say?
Yeah, Fads can't play a full 46-game season.
It's too much.
It's too intense, the Championship. And if we're in the cups long term, then we're going to need some added bodies at the back. But I think Ostergaard for me would probably be the first name on the team sheet in the back for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And then Tyler Walker came in, a name that we've heard probably for 2 or 3 years now, really, being bandied about. I think someone that's been on Robbins' radar for a while, but probably a blessing in disguise that he didn't sign last season, really, because obviously he got recalled in January, and if your top goal scorer gets recalled, it could derail your season. So probably best that we went with Godden last season, and we've brought Walker in this season on a permanent.
Absolutely, and this is a major coup for us, for sure. Why Forest deemed him surplus to requirements, I have no idea. He's a natural born finisher. He's got pace. He's strong. He's everything you'd want in a Championship striker. He's basically Ollie Watkins Mark II.
Yeah.
He just needs time and just needs a place in the squad. And if we give him that and we give him some service this season, I have no doubt in my mind he's going to score as close to 20.
Yeah, yeah,
Without a doubt.
yeah. He just seemed like a very natural goal scorer from what I've seen. I guess it's just that question mark over whether he can do it in the Championship. But
Absolutely,
like you said, if he gets the service, and I think Gordon got great service last season, so can't see why he won't. Hopefully he can kick on and he can be our top goal scorer. Do you think
most of our squad are in that same boat? We're going to have to see if they can step up to the plate in the Championship. We've only had not many. Like Liam Kelly played maybe 11 times in the Championship.
Yeah, he was injured, wasn't he, for Bristol City?
Yeah, played a little bit, but apart from that, then we're very very short in numbers and how many appearances in the Championship. So he's one of many players that've got to step up to the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just where we are as a club, isn't it? We can't be going out and spending £6-7 million on a player and then their wages as well. We've got to not gamble, but we've got to get these players who have good records in League One, and then hopefully they can make the step up with the right coaching from AD Vivesh and people like that.
There's every season there's somebody in every team who steps up to the plate. And you look at Connor Chaplin last season; he left us and went to Barnsley, and we all thought, "Oh, that's a bit of a weird move. Can he step up?" But he scored the goals basically to keep them up at the early part of the season. Can Walker be that guy for us?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, when you make that comparison with Chaplin, then you'd like to think so. And then our sort of, I would say final, but our most recent signing, possibly final, was Ben Sheaf. Again, a name that had been around for a little while, and a lot of sort of rumours floating about. I think it took a little bit of time to get the deal done. And it was a strange deal. There's a loan with an obligation to make permanent, which we haven't quite figured out what that means yet. And that would be 750k at the end of the season from Arsenal. And Robin's comments on him, he said he's a player with great pedigree and ability who will really add to our squad for the Championship season ahead. He's got great physical presence and a footballing brain and will be a real asset for us during the campaign. Again, a player who had a good season in League One last season, Dean.
Yeah, he was probably the best player on the pitch in the away game versus Doncaster, to be honest. He's a very talented guy, and anyone who gets that much praise from Arsene Wenger has got to be one to look out for. So that looks a good buy. We need someone to play with Hammer when Kelly can't play. And if we could play with two up top, he's the perfect guy to play in behind as well. So a perfect signing for this division. But the obligation to buy thing, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I was just sort of trying to think about it. I was thinking, do you think it might be one of those deals where there's some things built into it, where it's based on number of appearances and performance, perhaps? Could be that.
If it's a loan, are we not paying the wages? Does that mean we're getting a 3-year wages because Arsenal are paying it, or percentage?
Possibly, but then you got to think, why would they want to pay someone's wages if he's not coming back to them? So it's quite a strange one, really, isn't it?
I've never heard of the obligation to buy it. I've heard the option. Obviously, the option to buy is quite big, but the obligation is very strange.
Yeah, and you think for a club like Arsenal, I mean, to have the guaranteed 750k, I mean, that's absolute peanuts to them, isn't it?
Yeah, but they don't need that for sure.
They don't need that at all, and you'd think they'd actually rather see how he gets on, and he'd be a much better asset for them if he was ready to make a step up to the Premier League or whatever. So, but yeah, I guess we'll see how that one plays out. Hopefully, it'll be brilliant, and that'll be an absolute bargain anyway, and it won't be a problem.
Sure. Yeah.
And so just going to talk a little bit about the positions we might be lacking in. I know Robin's mentioned he's potentially looking at a couple more players, maybe 2 or 3, possibly loan players. Where do you think he's sort of got any question marks? Where is he thinking about bringing in some more recruits?
That's the squad. I'm apprehensive in the wing-back positions. Still, right back especially. Josh Pask is not a right back. He's not a right wing-back either. So question marks there. But we do have Blaine Rowe, who has played twice in pre-season, and he looks handy. But he's young, he's raw. Can we chuck him in at the deep end? I would think not to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm quite apprehensive about that. Other than that, though, I think we're pretty sound. Losing Jodie Jones isn't great. that we lose an out-and-out winger with that. We've only got Gibello, and he's not back yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sort of the winger situation. If we go to sort of a 4 or maybe a 5 across the middle, that scares me a little bit. And up front, there's always question marks up front for me.
Yeah.
I don't think Biamu can make the step up. It's probably a little bit. It's probably a league too far for him. Bakayoko, I'm just not sure on. I'm unsure on him as a player.
Yeah.
So yeah, are we short up front potentially?
Yeah, because I think you probably want to have 4 like main strikers, don't you? Really, that you can call upon. I think that's what most clubs have. And like you said, Biamu probably a step too far for him. I personally think Baka can do a job. Not necessarily as starting, but I think there's certain games where you can bring him on and he can do a job. So for me, there's probably one sort of space there potentially to bring someone in, but it's who do you bring in? Because if they're going to be off the bench or they're not going to play much, then a loan player is probably not great, because that's not the point of a loan, to develop them. Do you bring an old head in? Do you bring like a Leon Clark type person in? It's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? And even for a player like that, the wages are pretty high. So
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, it might be a case of managing with what we've got.
You were saying Bakayoko. The only question mark I have is positioning play. That's my question mark with him, because in the Championship, it's all about positioning.
Yeah.
You don't get much time. So if you can make up the right positions in the pitch, especially in the final third, to give yourself an opportunity to score, I mean, that's absolutely vital and absolutely key to stay in the division. But I just have my reservations. That's it. And he's there to prove me wrong, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, probably the sort of winger positions now that Jodie Jones is injured might be something Robbins looks at. Like thinking about it, we've probably only got Hilsner, Giles. There's not many wingers really, is there? Now you look at it.
I mean, only Gibello and Castaner. Castaner's back. I like him being back. I was quite surprised he was going to try and get a loan out to. Back to Holland, because he's the type of player I think we need this season. We need someone a bit of fight, because there's going to be a few games that are going to be rough, and we're going to need someone to stand up and pardon my phrase, kick the shit out of some people at some point during the season. And he's one that will do that for sure. He'll stand up for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just wanted to talk a little bit about the transfers that obviously left the club in the summer. There was a number of those, but I think really, if we're being honest, the only like really first team players that played a lot were sort of Harula and Westbrook, and obviously Harula didn't really feature that much towards the end of last season. What were your thoughts on those two departing?
I was surprised at Westbrook, because I thought he was probably one player who could step up to the plate in the Championship. He's got all the technical attributes to do well in that league. So yeah, I was surprised with him. Harula, not so much. I just don't think we were the right fit for him as a club.
Yeah.
And as soon as he missed that penalty at MK Dons last season, his confidence just dropped. He lost the fans basically at that point as well. And there's really no way coming back from that. So I don't think either of them will be massive losses, but I was surprised at Westbrook, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised with Westbrook, although, when you look at the midfield now, he probably wouldn't have got in there, would he, really? So, not massively surprised in the end. And, yeah, like you said, with Harula, he kind of lost it a bit when he missed that penalty. And even other times I think about that season, he just didn't seem that confident. I remember, I think it was Wimbledon at home, he did score, but it seemed to take him an age to score the goal. Lacking a bit of confidence, and definitely probably wasn't ready to make the step up into the Championship. And then there was a number of other players that left. So there was Junior Brown, there was Ponticelli, Walters, Alassani, Wakefield, Maycock, Bosma, Hickman, which seems like quite a big list, but if we're being honest, probably clearing out a bit of Deadwood, really.
It's the new Blazing squad, that.
Yeah.
Deadwood, as you say. The only one I'm surprised who didn't make the step up the last couple of years was Alassani. I had really high hopes for him. Very technically gifted. Came with a lot of praise from previous managers. So he was one that was under the radar quite a bit. But again, he was another one with the ACL.
Yeah, I was going to
Another
say
injury with the ACL.
he's similar to Jodie Jones in the way, isn't he? He's come with a lot of promise from sort of non-league, and then just been hampered with really bad injuries. So, yeah, a bit disappointed with that one.
For sure, yeah.
And then obviously Ponticelli as well. Again, came with a lot of promise. I think you guys were talking about him on Saturday. Did really, really well in the sort of under 23s. He was scoring every week, but just never quite made it, did he, into the first team?
No, I mean, it's a different game, isn't it, under 23s to first team football. And I made the point that he played under 3 or 4 different managers, and none of them really fancied him to give him a long-term run in the side. So, I mean, that was always against him. But, yeah, Coventry good. Best of luck to him this season at Wrexham.
I'm really pleased to say we're now joined by Gab Sutton, who is an EFL pundit, just to give some of his kind of perspectives on the Sky Blues and I guess our championship season. Welcome to the podcast, Gab.
Hi, Wardy. Cheers for having me. Hi, Dean. You all right? How you keeping?
All good. Yeah, looking forward to the season ahead, and obviously looking forward to your thoughts as well.
Yeah, we were just saying it's that sort of time of the season where it's a week, less than a week to go, and the nerves start kicking in a little bit. It's like,
I guess so.
Will we get thumped on Saturday? That's what we're all thinking. But
we'll have to see about that. I mean, I think I'm really intrigued to see how your lot get on. I mean, it's great to see you back in the second tier, of course, because you've been a long way away, hasn't it? Because obviously, I mean, the back end of the championship days was a pretty tricky time. So it's been for the most part, a tough previous decade for the club, and obviously you've had a bit of an upward curve under Mark Robbins. But I like the style of football you played last season, and I'd be really intrigued how much you can implement it in the championship. I suspect you'll have some games where you play really well and able to kind of control games, and when it's played on your terms, I think you could be really good. But then I could imagine you're also going to have a fair few off days as well. So yeah, really intrigued to see how you get on.
Yeah, definitely. And we were just talking earlier about the signings that Mark Robbins has made. Obviously, nine fresh faces through the door, which is great. We needed that. What did you make of the signings, Gab, from what you've seen?
Yeah, so you've kind of gone into the German market, as it were, in Birmingham. So Hamer and the other, I think there's one that's kind of a holding midfielder and one that's an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like you're going to stick with that 3-4-2-1 system that really worked for you pretty much from October onwards in that title-winning season. And I suppose that kind of makes sense. I'm a little bit interested to see how you'll cope, because in terms of when the wing backs get pushed back, I mean, you talked about maybe a lack of depth in that area, but I think even if you have Dabo and your first choice wing back Ryan Giles possibly, there's a danger that against better quality opposition they're going to get pinned back a little bit more, and that's where I'm really interested to see how things get on. Are you going to be able to play through that press, or are you going to need the option to maybe you've not got much necessarily pace in terms of the wide options. That's not really been how you play. So are you able to adapt? That's going to be really interesting for me to see. So it seems essentially like you've kind of going to stick with the same system, maybe one or two conservative tweaks. I suppose Chief is a bit of a number 6, if you like, isn't he? So him and Kelly, I'd imagine, would be quite a conservative midfield pairing more than Kelly and Walsh, I suppose. But it'd be really intrigued to see how you lot get on.
Gab, how different is it in the Championship? Because we come up against a lot of teams last season who sort of sat with 5 sort of towards the back, and we had to break through them and just played one up top most of the time. So how different will the Championship team sort of set up this season for us to go against?
Well, I think opposing teams are going to be a lot more positive. So, I watched a few of your games last season because I'm just a short bus ride away from where you played, which was lucky for me, not so lucky for your fans, of course. But hopefully you can play at the Ricoh Arena soon. It'd be great to see as a football fan generally. But I think in answer to your question, a few games last season. I think I saw Bolton at home, a few other games like that, Gillingham, where a lot of the teams were kind of sitting back, as you said. And I think in the Championship, you're kind of going to be a smaller fish in a bigger pond. So I do think you're going to have to come under a lot more pressure this season, and how you deal with that, I think, is going to be really interesting to see. But I think it'll bring new challenges, both in terms of the budget and what you're able to do from that point of view, but also in terms of playing style and how teams are going to sort of approach facing Coventry City.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Gab, can you give us a bit of perspective on some of the transfer business happening in the Championship? Because I guess we obviously, we're following our own transfers, but we hear these big figures getting bandied about and big names from other clubs. So, say again, Dean?
Today, Ollie Watkins, that's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, exactly. So all these scary figures, what's actually been happening, and who should we be kind of scared of, I guess?
Well, I think I personally see Coventry as one of the bottom six. I mean, I've seen a few predictions where people fancy you for mid-table, and I can see why. Personally, I do think it'll be a relegation battle. And I mean, in terms of the other deals in the Championship, I mean, you look at Brentford, they've been able to sell a £30-odd million player, which is quite alarming, I suppose you'd say, for a club that's not been in the Championship for a while. A bit of a disparity there. They signed Ivan Toney, who I'm sure you'll be familiar with, had a fantastic season for Posh in League One. I mean, you look at Bournemouth as well, they've sold Nathan Mackey for £41 million. I mean, just kind of looking through it at the moment, I imagine there's still some big deals to go, because a lot of the big fees involved have actually been player sales. So I think from that point of view, you'd imagine that the likes of Bournemouth, I think Watford are going to sell Decore, so they'll probably spend a little bit. So I do think there's probably some more spending to come, and I think you're going to have a bit of a battle from a budgetary perspective in terms of the calibre of player that you're up against. But again, you've showed last season that you're capable of playing some really good stuff yourself. So it's going to be really interesting test for you a lot, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we did a lot of our kind of business early in the window. Obviously, fortunate that we finished our season a bit earlier, but it sounds like there's a lot more business to be done. And the transfer window goes on for a little while longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's another month or so, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. So yeah,
so it could be a hell of a lot of business in the next few weeks. Yeah,
for sure.
And we obviously have our opening day fixture at Bristol City. I know they've brought a couple of players in this week as well. How do you think that one's going to play out? Are we in for a thrashing, do you think?
I don't know about thrashing. I mean, I think with Bristol City, a lot of their fans aren't too happy about the appointment of Dean Holden as manager, because he's pretty inexperienced. He might have come up against your lot as a coach in League One or something. So I think from that point of view, a lot of people would call it an underwhelming appointment, even though he did quite well in like a 5-game stint as caretaker. But I would kind of look at it the other way. I mean, they've had some good, having been in League One last season, you would have seen some of the talent maybe that was on loan from Joe Morrell at Lincoln, people like that who'd kind of, William Walsh, of course. So there's people like that that are really talented in the Bristol City's under-23 setup that they've had out on loan, and maybe Holden's the type of player that's the type of manager that's going to be interested in those players and interested in developing them, rather than a Chris Hughton that maybe would have looked at things from a more short-term perspective. So I think it's probably a bit of a transitional season for Bristol City, because they don't really want to go out there and invest with a big squad and with already, and with obviously the financial climate that we're seeing. So I suppose, although they were in playoff contention last season, I don't think they're necessarily at a massively different stage to yourselves, because I don't think their fans are looking at really making an assault on that top six this season. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see if it's fairly open, fairly technical game.
They do have some fairly championship base players: Andreas Ryman, Jada Silva, Nike Wells. They've got a really, really talented squad, and they probably fell short of their aspirations last season. So we should be under no illusions that the task this weekend especially is going to be a tough one. But like you say, with Dean Holden in charge, are they under the cosh a little bit because the fans are already on their back? So is it a good time to play Bristol as well? So it's one of those games.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like City are going to Bristol City are going to go 3-5-2. So I suppose that you don't know what to make of the fact both teams are going to have three centre backs. Is that going to affect things from a defensive point of view? That'll be a really interesting thing as well. I mean, I suppose counter that by saying both the wing backs for both teams are probably going to get forward a lot as well. I mean, obviously your lot probably a bit short in that right wing back position from what you've been saying.
Yeah.
I think that Dabo might be out, perhaps.
Yeah. Dubbo he came in for a pre-season game last night, but he's definitely not sort of match fit yet. So he'd be a few more weeks off, I would have thought, which is a shame really, because he was obviously our player of the season last year.
Yeah, he was pretty good all round, wasn't he? He's like, I think he started where he kind of had that a bit of a nightmare against Oxford and maybe a few question marks about him, but it seems like he's kind of and like towards the end of the season, you'd probably say he's one of the most complete right wing backs around because he can do the defensive side of things and he can kind of overlap and get forward as well. So yeah, he's one I'll be really excited to see in the Championship once he does get back there.
There's question marks over every player in our squad at some point during the season, Gab. It's no different, Dabo being at the start of the season. So yeah, but like you say, he was outstanding last season. So hopefully he can step up. But yeah, he's one to potentially who would probably punish Bristol City in the way they play because they're so open-minded and generally go gung-ho at an attack that they leave gaps behind, and maybe he could exploit those. But we're not going to be with him this weekend, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I suppose one other factor that we haven't really talked about is that it is behind closed doors. So, without a massive crowd there, you just don't know how that's going to affect things. Whether our players feel like there's less pressure or less of the sort of nerves kicking in. I guess will remain to be seen.
Yeah, I mean it's a real shame that that fans aren't allowed back in because that's a massive part of what makes football what it is. I think fans, just kind of have that passion for their club, and it makes a massive difference to the general sort of feeling of a match. So I think that's a massive miss for the game, and I can't wait for time when it's safe for fans to come back into stadiums. Hopefully yourselves back at the Ricoh Arena at some point. But yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, Gab, it's been great having you on. Just finally, really, just wanted to get your kind of prediction of our league position finish this season.
I've gone with 21st. I think you'll have some really good performances in there, as I said at the beginning. But I also think that when teams pin you back a little bit in the Championship, I question whether you're going to have the outlets, because if you're going to have sort of two technical number 10s in the side, they could be harder to find if you're kind of under siege. So I'm really intrigued to see how I think when games are kind of going to be played on your terms, I could see you doing really well. But I also think there'll be a fair few games that aren't played on your terms and where you could sort of struggle a little bit. So I think it'll be a dicey relegation battle. I think it'll be touch and go. I just think you'll have just about enough to stay up, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we do.
Gab, who do you think is going to win the league and get promoted?
I've got previews pinned to my profile on this, but I think in terms of winning the league, I've gone with Brentford, and I've got Watford to finish second, and I think maybe Norwich could be the best of the rest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Good. That's a good assessment of this league, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for joining us, Gab. It's really great to get your insight.
Yeah, no problem, folks. Great. Thanks for having me, and all the best for the next season.
I hope you enjoy it. Take care, Gab. Cheers. We're now going to talk through our best 11s, me and Dean. So I'll let you go first, Dean, just to talk through, I guess, if everyone's fit, who do you start with? Yeah,
I tend to be a creature of habit. I don't like to change things when they've worked. But yeah, this is my starting 11. Everyone's fit. Dabo right back, Rose, Ostergaard, Hyam, Giles. I think pretty much if we play that back five, back three with the two wing backs, I think that pretty much picks itself. Over then maybe McFadzean comes in. It's difficult to see him playing the majority of the game. So I've got Ostergaard in the centre. Hyam obviously has been outstanding since making the step up into the first team. So that's my back three / back five. I've gone for Sheaf and Hammer. It pains me to drop Kelly from this team. I absolutely love Liam Kelly. He's one of my favourite players from the past 5 years for sure. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to drop him. But again, he'll play his fair share of games. But I'm just going to go for the two new guys in there, Sheaf and Hammer. I think we just need to have a little bit more technical nous in the middle of the park because, like Gab said, we're going to be under the cosh a little bit. So when we get the ball out of the back, if it goes to one of those two, you hope they'll be able to do something with it. So I'm going to go for those two. And yeah, I'm going to drop Godden, unfortunately, put Tyler Walker in, just because I think he has the edge in regards to finishing, and we're going to need his pace. Godden does have a turn of pace about him, but it's not as good as Walker. O'Hare and Allen, both there. Again, both very, very technical. And they both seem to link up very well. They get into these triangles a lot with whoever's playing up top. It's been Godden. So, yeah, that's my team. I put my subs in there. Obviously, I did have Jones in there before we got the news. So, yeah, you'd have to go out. I'd maybe put someone like Castaneer in there. Jabello maybe when he's fit, just to give us a wing option if we need to go to 4 across the middle. But yeah, I think we're looking good.
Yeah, brilliant. Looks like a good starting 11.
And listen, we'll probably change at some point to a back 4. There'll be games where we need to play a back 4 because there'll be teams where that will press us so hard. We'll need to have 4 in there for sure. And we might play the 2 up top at some point. So if that does happen, I'd maybe drop Allen, put Godden in there with Walker, O'Hare in behind, and I'd play Liam Kelly at that point if we're playing 2 up top, because we need someone there just to absolutely just sit.
Yeah,
it gives Hammer or Sheaf, depending on who he plays, the opportunity to push forward, because O'Hare's going to need some help there to link up.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about yourself?
So I think my team is not vastly different to yours. So yeah, same three at the back. I think whether Ostergaard or Rose will go in the middle is remain to be seen. But doesn't make a huge difference there. I think they're all right-footed, aren't they? Those back 3. So it doesn't really make a huge difference. Giles at left wing back, Dabo at right wing back. Obviously when he's fit. I've gone with Kelly in the middle. Just think a bit of experience, a bit of an older head in there. We are a quite young team. I just think to have Kelly in there would add a lot to the team. But obviously, Sheaf is sort of breaking in at some point, I think. And then Hammer, of course, there alongside him. And then same as you, I've gone with Allen and O'Hare, and I've gone with Walker up top. Again, quite hard to drop Godden, but I think, as you said, Walker's just a natural finisher, and I can see him being our sort of main goal scorer this season. And yeah, as you said, we can bring in and play 2 up front at some point. I'd even potentially have Bakker up there with one of Walker or Godden in certain games, depending on what sort of result we're trying to get, or we could be 1-0 up away from home, and there's lots of ways it could go. But yeah, I think we've got some really exciting options in there.
Yeah, I just, like we said before, I'm just a little bit apprehensive on the wing situation. But we can have 7 subs, so we can swap and change quite a lot depending on which opposition we play. There's going to be games where we're going to be up against it. I'm talking like your Millwalls, where it's really sort of dirty and down and dirty football, isn't it? It's not the best. It's probably a better phrase to use there, but it's those types of teams, if you understand what I mean, where it's going to be difficult and we're going to be under a little bit more threat. So it's important that we have the squad to change it when we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. On to the next part of the pod. What I want to do is just do some sort of quick fire questions, I guess. So I'll fire these at you, and then obviously I'll give you mine as well.
Down for these.
The
last 3 days I've been chopping and changing every single answer on this, so hopefully this is my final result.
Yeah, you can end up overthinking it, can't you? And we've also got some listener and follower responses as well, which we'll do ours, and then we can run through some of those as well. We got some interesting ones back on Twitter. So we'll go with league table position.
Right. So it depends. Like
That's not how this works, Dean.
If Walker and Godden score 15 apiece, we're definitely going to be around 12th.
Yeah.
First, yeah, that would be nice. But listen, the playoffs are definitely reachable if we play beyond our capabilities, without a shadow of a doubt. But I think comfortably we'll be 18th, because I think there's definitely 6 teams worse than us, for sure.
Yeah.
Plus, throw in there Sheffield Wednesday starting on -12. That is a massive bonus for us this season. So, unfortunately, you don't like to see any club go through anything like that. But obviously, for the fans' sake, but for us as a team to survive, that's brilliant. So, yeah, I'm gonna go between 12th and 18th, because I think Barnsley, Birmingham, Luton, Wycombe, Rotherham, and QPR are worse than us. So, yeah,
exactly. I think
I was indecisive.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've just given a range there rather than an actual prediction. There you go.
I reckon we're going to end up between 1st and 24th. How's that?
Yeah. You can't do this for every question, because when we do top goal scorer, you can't say it's going to be either Godden, Walker, Backer, Biarmi. No. But, and I think for me... Oh, yeah, there you go. You could break free, you never know. For me, I'm gonna go with 17th. Just in and around what you were talking about, but seem to remember last time we were in the Championship, we used to always finish 17th. So and now we'd probably take that quite happily. So I'll go with that.
The division as well to what we left 8 years ago. It's totally different. Like the skill level is gone up another level to what it was.
Yeah, it has.
Without a shadow of a doubt, the players that are in there, the money that's now invested in that league, it's astronomical. So we've got to be up for the battle, that's for sure. And we should be under no illusion that this season is going to be probably our hardest season for the past 8, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that
when we got relegated from the Championship.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just that shift in mentality, isn't it? You have, it's great getting promoted, obviously, but you go from winning every week, like we were literally winning every week the second half of the season, and then we're going to go from that to if we draw 0-0 on Saturday, we'll be absolutely buzzing. And to go from, it's just a shift in expectation and mentality and everything like that.
It's just hope the fans don't get on the back. That is the big thing for me. Like game 1, it's like Robin's out, we're shit.
Yeah.
Sisu outside the club, not one penny more. All the old slogans come out. We just need to get behind them, because they're going to need our support, and we can't be in the ground. So let's support from afar. And be under no illusion, the players check social media and they know what's going on. They know what's being said. So
100%.
We just need to be careful, and just when we can give them encouragement. And there are times, there are going to be times where we need to have a word and say, we're disappointed, but generally we need to be encouraging of them. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, well, that's well said there, Dean. Next one is top goal scorer.
Goals. I'm going to go for Walker. It's a pretty easy decision for me. I think he'll play the majority of the games. I don't think we'll play the 2 up top that often, and therefore he'll be the number 1 striker for me. And I've actually put a number on it. I put a number on there. I think we need 50 goals to stay up. And I'm going to say he gets 20.
Okay. Is that 50 based on any sort of maths that you've done, or is it just
just
any sort of previous season
teams? Yeah, that kind of stuff. I just think we're going to probably let in more goals this season than we did last year, because there's more creativity in this division, better goal scorers, and we'll get punished when we give teams opportunities, whereas last season I would say 1 in maybe 5 opportunities we were punished for. So
it does sound quite daunting, doesn't it? 50 goals.
Yeah, it does sound a lot. We're going to need people to chip in from all over the pitch. We're going to need the Allens and O'Hares and Shipley when he's in the team. He's always good for a goal at some point. I mean, if those guys can get 5 to 10, and Godden can get 10, and Walker can get 20, we'll have another season in the Championship.
Yeah. Not too much to ask then.
Yeah, it's not too much to ask now.
Yeah, I'm thinking Walker as well. Same reasons really. I think he'll just get more games. Like we've talked about, he's a natural goal scorer. He hopefully will be a bit more consistent than Godden as well. I know Godden, he had good season, but he did score in batches, and he always has scored in batches. And we kind of need someone who's going to get at least a goal every other week, if not every week kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully he can really get us motoring.
Yeah, we look at Watkins last year. He got 1.76 goals or something per game, or one in every 2 games, just under 2 games. That's what you need.
That's what you look for, isn't it? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I think Walker's been getting that over the last couple of years, admittedly at a lower, in lower divisions. But if you can do that in the Championship, like you say, it'll definitely chip away at that goals target. Next one we've got here is most appearances.
Dom Hyam, absolute rock. I just don't think anybody. He's got a great injury record as well. For me, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. So yeah, I'm going to go for Dom Hyam.
Yeah, for me, for outfield players, Dom Hyam. Obviously, Morosi probably end up playing every game, but yeah, in terms of outfield players, I think you're right there. Hyam, can't see anyone really getting ahead of him with it. Yeah, and then what else we got here? We've got most assists.
Assists. Yeah, I think the Magic Man, colour hair.
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it?
He's just so technically gifted. It's just. I'm in love with him.
Yeah, he's
in love with him.
You can see him just sort of stood at the edge of the box, just making things happen and slipping balls through, and he'll see something that no one else sees. And yeah, I'm just trying to think of, was it the goal against Portsmouth where he looped it over to Godden? I think it might have been. Yeah, just goals like that. Off the classic example.
Back, yeah.
And just quick thinking.
Pick the ball up in positions where you think nothing's going to happen, then all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. 10 seconds later, he was in a position where something's going to happen. He's made something happen out of nothing. I can't remember the game where we were under the cosh a little bit, and he came on and scored towards the end of the season. I was working on iFollow for the game, and I can't remember.
Was it? It wasn't Southend, was it?
Yes, when it was windy, and he picked the ball up
Southend
on the left-hand side and just took on everybody.
Yeah, because that was the game where. Like we were miles better than them, but we just couldn't quite get the breakthrough, and then it just happened all of a sudden because of O'Hare, and then we were like, once that went in, it was like, well, this is game over. Like we're done it now. Yeah. But like you say, just needed that moment of magic, moment of brilliance from him.
I think that's what he gives us, and we're going to need that a lot this year.
And hopefully, like I said, chip him with some goals as well, because he didn't get many last year.
No, but you'll probably get the opportunity to do that this year. There'll probably be a little bit more space in that final third for him to run into. So
yeah, hopefully. Then we've got most cards.
Got to go for Ryan Giles. Maybe a little bit of a left field one.
Interesting. Getting caught out perhaps down the left.
Yeah, just his position in play defensively, I think, leaves a lot to be desired. But that's something they can work on. That might be a position where other teams target. Hopefully, I'm not giving away all our secrets here, but Ryan Giles, for me, most cards.
Yeah. Hopefully the Bristol City manager's not listening, because he'll be saying put everything down the right after this.
They've got Andreas Weimann, haven't they? So he normally plays in that sort of position. So he's going to have his hands full in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gone with Hamer for this one, just because he loves to tackle, and he's that sort of continental player who perhaps will go in a bit harder. And I don't know. I think he's going to pick up a few yellow cards this season.
That Peterborough game, wasn't it? He just kicked out about 4 players within about 11 minutes. Yeah. I was like, oh my god, he's going to get booked in a friendly. And then I thought, oh no, he's going to get sent off in a friendly.
Yeah, and I think he'll probably get a lot of yellow cards, and he won't really care. He'll just, that's who he is, and that's he'll go in for some big tackles, which isn't the end of the world, really, to be honest with you. Fans' favourite.
Amer for me. Yeah, I think he'll rise to the top. I think he'll rise to the occasion as well. A bit like you said, all fans love a player who gives 110%, puts a little bit of leaves a little bit nasty on the opposition. The Michael Doyle mould, shall we say? He seems to have that plus the creativity of Liam Walsh. So if he's got the complete package, I think fans will take to him.
Yeah,
sure.
This one was a really tough one for me, because I was thinking if Walker, starts scoring, people are going to absolutely love him. Yeah. I think for this one, I'll probably go with Ostergaard.
Sure.
I just think in the same way Rose stepped up and Hyam and players like that, and they've become just absolutely solid players in the team. I think he could be a fan's favourite this season from our signings.
From watching him, he's a bit in the same mould as Big Mo. No nonsense. Get out of here. That's he doesn't care. He'll go through 4 players if he needs to get the ball.
Yeah,
that kind
exactly.
Of
and fans love
player.
that.
Oh, we absolutely love that. So maybe we need to mould the Big Mo song into something for him.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
we'll
one
have to
for our
work.
listeners to work on.
Yeah,
Get
yeah. If anyone can
Big
come up
Mo
with
type
something,
song for Leo Ostigard.
yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
is
that'd
it
be great.
pronounced Oostigard or Ostigard?
I don't know. I'll leave it up to Clive Egan.
I actually think, yeah, he'll get that wrong. It'll just call him Leo, I bet you, for
Yeah,
the majority of the game. But I think
Yeah.
it's pronounced Oostigard,
right.
but let's just call him Ostigard or Leo.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think many people in Coventry are great at sort of Norwegian, so he's probably going to get it pronounced wrong most of the season. I've got on here most disappointing.
Yeah, to be honest,
I know it's not the most
I'm
positive question, but
disappointed in the question. That's, it's a hard one. I'm just going to go for Alan. Just
okay.
there's no reasoning behind it either. I'm just going to go
No.
for Alan.
What is it? He just might not be as good as he was last year.
Yeah, well, not even just last year. There's not a lot of expectation around him.
Yeah.
And I just think he probably won't provide as much as O'Hare or Hammer or Sheaf. So we just might get disappointed in his play. But yeah, it's a strange one. I don't like the question. I don't like to be negative.
No, it's not good to be negative. But it was just kind of, if you looked at last season, like you'd probably say Castaner was the disappointing player that we'd signed, and it was sort of seeing.
Slide. I wasn't disappointed in that slide.
He's still sliding now. I've used that joke way too much on this podcast.
Yeah.
So I think there's a few. Obviously there's a few it could be, but I mean Hilsner, I'm a little bit concerned about with this like lung thing and where he's going to fit in. So he has the potential to sort of drift away a bit. But I think apart from him, I think everyone we've signed looks like they're going to be like the real deal and they're going to be in the team. So yeah, I think we can move on from that one. Breakthrough player.
Breakthrough. I was going to go Jodie Jones, and I'm just so disappointed. Mainly because I just wanted him to prove somebody wrong.
Yeah.
Because some of the comments on social media the last couple of weeks
shocking.
Jodie Jones, just unbelievable. Like, you could be disappointed and you could say certain things, but what was said probably stepped over the mark. It was just uncalled for. You can say that you don't want him to see him in the team and stuff, but to rot in non-league is just outrageous to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted him to prove him wrong. So obviously with him now not being out, I'm going to go for Wilbur Parga. I think he's a very, very talented, sort of head down, doesn't care, very raw talent, which hopefully Vivash and Robbins can mould into something special. I think he's got the capabilities. We've seen it in short bursts that he's been able to play in the side. So yeah, I'm going to go for Wilbur Parga, and I just hope he gets at least some time to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, like we said, with the lack of perhaps wingers as well, he might get that chance and he might get an opportunity. So yeah, it'd be good to see him break into the team.
Why does my room keep changing colour as well? Is that a bit weird? Blue and then yellow. Sorry, I'm in a hotel room in Portugal.
You just wanted to mention that, didn't you? That was why.
Yeah. It's very nice and warm here, everybody.
I think for me,
I
was going to say Papaga would be good to see him break through. There's also Eccles as well. But getting into that midfield is going to be tough. We've obviously got Kelly and Sheaf there, so it's going to be hard for him. But it is possible, and he is really highly rated. So I'd love to see him get into the team this season. He did play a couple of games last year. I think he started against Rochdale.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets a chance, and obviously, as we said, cup games and things like that as well.
He's very comfortable on the ball, isn't he? For someone who doesn't play a lot in the sort of men's football, shall we say, the senior level, he's very comfortable on the ball. He might get the opportunity, especially in these cup games, because like we could have effectively have league game, cup game, cup game within 18 days.
Yeah, exactly. Because we've got Gillingham. It's next week, isn't it? I think
next week. Yeah.
And so that's winnable.
On the Tuesday, QPR on the Friday. We beat Gillingham. We then play Wolves or whoever it was in the next round. Wolves or Stoke on the Wednesday. Saturday again against Barnsley. So the games are going to come thick and fast, and that's why we've got this squad. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
there's an opportunity for him there for sure.
Yeah, definitely a big opportunity for these younger players. And there's obviously Drysdale as well. Obviously a bit disappointing what happened on Saturday with him, but again for him going to be pretty tough to knock one of those three out of the defence. But again, you don't know what will happen with injuries, and he might get a chance.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's Williams as well. I really rate Morgan Williams.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a really superb talent, and I think he'll probably break through at some point in the same mould as like Hyam did.
Yeah.
In regards to he breaks through and he stays there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing his progression. So maybe
Yeah.
one to look out for too.
Do you think our sort of young players have improved a lot? Because I was thinking about 3 years ago when we were in League Two, and when players like Bayliss came through, we hadn't really even had heard of him, had we?
No.
And
No.
is that because I don't know? Have we got just better young players at this stage that are literally on the verge of breaking through? And is that what it is, or?
Well, so it's down to recruitment as well. A lot of them are not. It's not just academy grown talent, isn't it? From a young age, it's we're going out into the market and getting 16 and 17-year-olds and purchasing them to join that under 23 squad. So yeah, a lot of credit goes out to sort of the scouting department for sure. But yeah, it seems to be since 85 Ash has come in, the standard of talent coming through has been a lot better. And Jason Farnham as well, as he's involved with the under 23s. He is highly rated as well by the club. So hats off to him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And the final one I've got here is Player of the Season.
Yeah, a bit. Again, I think we'll stay up for one or two reasons. Either we'll score a decent amount of goals to keep us up, and in that case it'll be Tyler Walker, or we'll defend resolutely, not concede many goals and not lose too many matches in regards to like 2s and 3-0s. Might get a few draws here and there. So if that's the case, I think Dom Hyam would be the one for me. So I'm going to go. It's a split between those two, slightly edging towards Tyler Walker because I think we'll score some goals just because of the way we play. Yeah.
I think Tyler Walker's in with a good shout of that if he starts banging the goals in. I think in the defence, Ostergaard as well, as I've mentioned, if he does well, I think he could have a really good season. And there's obviously Dabo again. If Dabo kicks on again, he could be player of the season. So it's a tough one really. If I had to pick one, I think I'd go with Walker because if he gets goals like Godden did last season, he's gonna be right up there.
There's no doubt about it. We're going to get chances this season. We're going to get a lot of chances just because of the way we play, and a lot of teams are going to be confused and not expect it from us really. And it's just all about if we can finish those chances. If we finish those chances, we've got a great shout at staying up. And even a better shout at doing better than what most people predict us. I mean, I saw predictions today we were 5th. So people are talking about us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's been some interesting predictions going in, hasn't there? Yeah. Varying from top 6 right down to, scraping survival. So just want to move on to some of our follower opinions on this. So we put a tweet out, I think a couple of days ago, just asking people what their thoughts were. So I just thought I'd read a few of these out. Some of them are very, very optimistic, I have to say. We've got Jimbo.
Nothing wrong with optimism, though.
Yeah, nothing wrong with optimism. Jimbo is very optimistic. He's put our final league spot as first.
Wow.
I don't know what he's been drinking.
I'll have one.
Top goal scorer Walker. So from what line with what we said. Most carded Hamer. Player with most assists O'Hare. Most influential signing Walker, and player of the season Walker. So pretty similar to what we said, apart from of course the league position. Joshua Harding, he's gone with 17th. So like me, he's gone with that sort of trusted 17th spot that we used to seem to always finish in the Championship. He's also gone with Walker as top goal scorer. Most carded, he's gone with McFadden. Interesting choice. Don't know if he'll get that many games, but yeah, he just pick up the odd card. Most assists O'Hare, most influential signing O'Hare, and player of the season Morosi. We didn't actually mention Morosi. Of course, he he could be in for a really good season again in the Championship.
I think we're all very sort of solid with Morrissey, aren't we? As a goalkeeper, he's fantastic. As a footballer, I have my reservations with him passing out from the back. It can be a bit apprehensive at times. But yeah, I think we're pretty all solid on him being number one choice, that's for sure. And I think he'll make the step up quite easily.
Yeah, definitely. Daniel Davenport, he's gone with 12th. That'd be nice, a nice comfortable 12th finish position. He's gone with Walker for top goal scorer. He's gone with Hamer for most carded. He's gone with Kelly for most assists. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And he's gone with O'Hare for most influential signing and O'Hare for player of the season. I'll just do one more of these ones. We'll go with Martin Coleman. He's gone for 16th position. He's gone for Walker and he said he'll score 13 goals. Hamer for most carded again. Seems like people think that Hamer will pick up a few cards this season. O'Hare for most assists. O'Hare for the most influential signing. And he's gone with Morosi for player of the season. So, yeah, mixed bag there. I'd say the general trend is people sort of saying bottom half the table, but safe, which I think we'd probably all be quite happy with.
Definitely. It's probably, there's a lot of people not saying that we're going to go down as well, which is quite optimistic, and that's a good place to be. Like I said earlier, I think there's definitely 6 teams that are worse than us in this division.
Yeah.
And it'll be important to pick up points against those teams. So yeah, that's quite a good sign where nobody thinks we're going to get relegated. No doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd definitely be worse off being a Sheffield Wednesday fan at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's obviously disheartening for their fans, but that gives us a great opportunity. That's potentially one club we don't need to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then just finally, really, what's your prediction for Saturday, Dean?
Yeah, I think, like I said in the fixtures preview, I think this is probably one of the toughest games we could get. But the good thing going for us is there is no fans, so it's a very tough place to go, Ashton Gate, when there's fans there. You're quite close to the pitch. It can be quite raucous at times as well. So that's a thing going in our favour. The problem I have is that Bristol have a very good squad and a very good team, full of championship experience. They've played since lockdown as well in the championship, so
yeah.
They're used to the sort of the speed of the game. It's a very different speed to what we're used to in League One, and especially for friendlies as well. So it'll be tough. Ever the optimist, though. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be okay. I'm going to go for a 1-1 score draw.
Yeah, it's just funny, isn't it, how things have changed? It's like being optimistic is a 1-1 draw these days.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, we had no optimism about Coventry. Yeah. The only optimism I can remember really was the FA Cup in '96, where we got knocked out to Sheffield United. I was 7, and when we had Dan Fox, Westwood, Gunnarsson, that was the only other bit of optimism I had in the team, and perhaps the Tony Mowbray. Team
the first half.
The first half of the season. We were optimistic then, but other things materialised in that season, which just put a downer on things, mainly to do with the hierarchy of the club. But we won't get into that. Let's go into a season energised, looking forward to it for a change, and just enjoy the experience, because it's gonna feel weird being in the Championship, playing against so many big clubs. But let's go out and express ourselves freely and just enjoy it and look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got to enjoy it, haven't we? Whatever happens, whether if we do lose a game 3 or 4-0, we're playing the Championship. Let's just enjoy it. Enjoy the opposition we're playing against. For sure, So I think for me, it's a tough one to call. I think heart, I'd probably say 1-1 like you. My head would probably say that they've probably got a bit too much, and maybe a 2-1 or a 3-1 defeat. But yeah, I think a 1-1 draw would be a fantastic way to start the season, especially if we play well and play our football. So fingers crossed.
Those first 3 games are going to be absolutely crucial to how we start the season, and we've got 2 games that are definitely winnable against QPR. We've got a great record at against Barnsley as well. So
I agree.
We need to, just take in our stride, enjoy it. I can't. I actually, for the first time in forever, I'm so looking forward to the start of a football season. Maybe it's because we've been starved of it since March.
Yeah.
I just can't wait, and I just can't wait to see the new players in action.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited. I'm like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, I'm excited, but there's just that, like, the fact we can't go is the only thing that's just, it's like just a little niggle, isn't it? It's like, yeah, if only there was 3,000 City fans going down to Bristol on Saturday. But, you know, it is what it is, and we just got to enjoy it the best way we can.
Hopefully when we do a Sky Blues Extra live after the game on Saturday, we're all screaming and shouting.
Hopefully, yeah.
Don't forget that is coming this Saturday. And after every game, hopefully, we're going to have a Sky Blues Extra live.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be great to have as many people on that as possible. I think we had a good few on Saturday, but hopefully even more with some comments from our followers. So yeah, that's all we've got time for this evening. I hope everyone's enjoyed our first Championship preview podcast. Be sure to check out our sponsors, Shortland Horn, for the latest properties in Coventry. And thanks for all of our follower contributions this evening. And remember, if you want to join in the conversation across our channels, all you need to do is use the hashtag SkyBluesExtraPodcast.
Play up Sky Blues. Go on, the City.